Hey, Facebook. Happy Saturday. I hope all of you are having a blessed Saturday. I am home, just got in not too long ago. Thought I'd come to you and give you Truth Be Told 3. Um, so Again, I want to thank everybody for supporting me and being there for me, especially my family, my husband, and my children, and all of my friends. I'd like to give a shout out to all the birthdays that are today. There are some very special birthdays out there, smooches, and happy Capricorn season. Aquarius is you're up next. Can't wait. Um, so I guess I'm coming in going because I'm kind of both. But yeah, so I left off at me finding out I'm pregnant, telling my baby's father, still living on Blackador with my aunt. My baby's father not wanting anything to do with the baby because, it's, he had been through a lot with his first baby's mom or whatever he had stated or whatever. But I know I heard he didn't want any more children. So I knew I was going to have a Yonde. I did have an inkling that I would have more children once I got pregnant with the Yonde. It was like a feeling. I do remember the spirit saying to me, if you take care of them, I'll take care of you. I did not know who them was because I was only pregnant with one baby, and that much I knew. But I think now I know that that's my other 6 children. So yeah, so I'm finding out that I'm pregnant. Baby's dad don't want any more children. I'm on Blackador with my aunt. Comfortable, very comfortable. It's very comfortable. But for some odd reason, I moved back with my mom. And that was even more comfortable for me being pregnant. Like to be with my mom at that time and it be her and I. It was her, I, and people call them stepdads, but when they're the only dads you know, are they really your stepdad? You know what I mean? It was my mom, my mom's husband, me, and my little brother, but not as much because he had activities. But it was beautiful. Like I woke up to breakfast, lunch, dinner. I ate square meals. I read to my baby. It was beautiful. And then in the midst of all of that, if I'm not mistaken, I filled out for housing authority. And I remember someone saying that Whiteside was really clean. And I remember picking 811 Whiteside Road because someone said that Whiteside was really clean. So I have a yawn day. I'm at my mom's. And I get a call from my unit. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you go to the home selection. This is 99 now, man. You 98, going into 99. So I forget a little bit. But you go to the home selection, you pick your home, and then they call you when the unit's ready because they have to call the property and let the property know that your unit has been picked. So they get the property ready, and then they call you when the unit's ready. So I go to the home selection, get the place, but I'll go back home with my mom. And at the time, I'm preparing to move. I'm buying things for my house. And yeah, it's smooth sailing. I got this cousin coming back and forth to get me because at the time I wasn't driving. And he's cool and he's taking me to the store to buy things for the house or whatever. And then I get the call that the unit's ready. And my mom is like, you are not taking my grandson up there. I do not know those people. I do not know where you're going to be. Blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, she takes me. Now, my mom's taking me back and forth to Whiteside because I got to take the stuff that I purchased back and forth. So she's taking me back and forth and she's just not liking it. She's like, I'm not getting a good feel for this. I do not like this. And she keeps a yawn day with her. And while I'm getting Whiteside together. So Ayonde comes home on the weekends and my mom comes back and gets him. I'm coming to get my baby and yeah. So she's a great grandmommy. And Nana, actually. We call my mommy Nana. My children call my mommy Nana. But I always knew I was going to have my children call her my mom Nana. But, yeah, so I got the place. I'm living over on Whiteside. And when I was going to Westinghouse and I found out I was pregnant with a Hyundai, I dropped out of school. So at the time, I didn't have a high school diploma and I didn't have a GED. And I'm living up Whiteside in a subsidy and I'm just turning 18. And I have my own place. I remember putting up curtains and a young lady knocking on the door like, baby, that ain't gonna work. Now, she's probably the same age as me, but she's been living there a little bit longer. She might be a couple years older than me. And she's like, you're tapping in the drywall. That's going to keep chipping. Can you do that in the morning? Blah, blah, blah. So we ended up being very, very close. Like her family became my family. But in the midst of all of that, my mom has my son, and I get another knock on the door, and it's this white, tall man. And he reminds me of Charlie Chaplin. He's white, he's tall, and he has on his black and white pinstripe suit. No lie. Okay, maybe it wasn't black and white, but I swear it was pinstripe. So he's like, here's the card. We're a program for young mothers. I don't know if you have your high school diploma or your GED or not, but we're called the Young Mothers Program. We're located in the Hill House. We have various courses, various classes, blah, blah, blah. So I went down there. I stopped down there and I began GED classes and passed my GED very fast. But in the midst of that, he gave me more wisdom than any white man could ever give me. Because even though I don't recall having I don't know, like I had a lot of women around me. I can't say I had a lot of weak men around me. Like the men that were around me weren't, like, I don't consider my stepdad as weak. I think that he definitely would have defended me if something happened. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of men around me. But Steven was a cool white dude. Yeah, I can say that. So he was like, okay, I'm going to help you get this along the way, help you get that along the way. And he was like, I wanted a bank account. And Steven was like, Ken, I don't think you need a bank account. Poor people don't need a bank account. And I was like, you going to call me poor? And he said, yeah. Who do you think has overdraft? And I'm like, poor people. He was like, yeah, you're going to have overdrafts. And he was like, rich people don't have overdrafts or whatever. So I didn't get a bank account. And that helped me to learn how to save money at home. But I definitely stopped saving money at home because I spend it now, especially with the economy. The economy is so bad. But yeah, so at the time I'm living up Whiteside. I'm getting my GED. Chillaxing, My mom got my son most of the time. She stayed with her grandson. Like my mom stayed with my baby till my baby was like 1.5. So I end up getting my GED and I end up getting a job at Lord and Taylor. And at the time that I was on Vendors, because Vendors is a rent program that you get on when you live in a subsidy. So because I lived in the Allegheny County subsidy, I was able to get on Vendors. Now, when you're on Vendors, half and half, you get a DPA check every month. So say you got 201.50, you would get 201 or 275 or if you 175 every 2 weeks, something like that. They would split it up. Well, if I got 201.50, it would be because I had a Hyundai and I'm wrong. I apologize. I got 201.50 because it was a Hyundai and So I would get 201.50 every 2 weeks. So it equaled out to like 402 when I lived at Whiteside. But my rent came out of my welfare check. So if I received 201.50 and my rent was $84, then $82, or I'm sorry, $42. If my rent was $84, $42 would come out of each check so that my rent would get paid. So when you're on vendors, your rent is always late because you get a DPA check the first 2 weeks of the month and the last 2 weeks of the month. So even though rent is due from the 1st through the 5th, my rent wouldn't get paid but from the 1st through the 30th. But this was understood by the program. Well, I was told that I would get notices of late rent because my rent was late but I could ignore them. That's what I was told. Evidently, that must have been wrong because I got a knock on the door one day from the constable. Now, mind you, at this time, I got my GED. I'm working. I'm coming home from work. My kids are at daycare, and I get a knock on the door that says you need to leave now. Need to leave where now? You need to leave these premises now. You're being evicted. Me? I can't be being evicted. My kids are at daycare. I just came home from work. I'm not evicted. Now, mind you, I just got this job. So there's no way you could have accounted my rent into my income, because I was still getting a DPA check. And it was still the same amount. And I had just got the job. So I'm like, there's no way you're evicting me. So he's like, I'm evicting you. You have to leave the premises now. And at the time, I knew the constable. So he was like, Kiana, listen, I need you to grab as much as you can because I really have to leave and I can't leave you on this property. If you stay, I have to call the police. And I'm like, well, I don't understand. I paid my rent. My rent come out my welfare check. He knew about vendors. He said, well, if you're on vendors, why do I got to evict you? And I said, I don't know. And I went and got my little shoebox and I had all of my vendors' receipts. And he said, I'll take you to the rent office. And he drove me up to the rent office. And it was a Friday. And he said, what were you asked to do? That's all I heard. And the magistrate said, I was asked to evict her. He said, what were your orders, if I'm not mistaken? He said to evict her. He said, that's what I need you to do. I didn't need you to bring her here. You need to evict her. She needs to be off of the property. It's 5 o'clock and it's Friday. Lucky, I'm going to take you back down to the house. You get as much as you can get and then I'll lock the door. I'm crying. I'm on my cell phone. I'm crying. I'm on the phone talking to my aunt and I'm telling her I don't know what to do. I don't know what just happened. So in the midst of all of this, I go grab my kids from daycare and I take myself to my mom's. And I'm baffled. I'm like, I don't know what I did wrong. I couldn't have did anything wrong. I don't know. They're saying I didn't pay my rent. And I have all of my vendors' receipts. There's no way I didn't pay my rent. So in the midst of all of that, I end up, if I'm not mistaken, in a shelter. I go to my mom's. My mom tells me to call the shelter. She says, Kiana, if you call the shelter, you have a better chance of getting a place. You and the kids gotta go to a shelter. I call the shelter, call Women's Space East. I go to Women's Space East. It's my babies and I. Now in the shelter, kids eat at different times because you have high school children. So, and they have to be to school at least around 7. So the kitchen opens at like 6 for them to eat, but it closes at a time also. And in the midst of it closing, it doesn't open back. It didn't open until 9. Well, I have 4 little children at this time because, mind you, from the time that I got evicted from Whiteside for being on vendors and them messing up my rent, but I'll get to that. By the time I got evicted from Whiteside, I had 4 children. 3. My apologies. I had 3. I had 1 boy and 2 girls. And now I'm homeless. So now I'm in a shelter. 1 boy, 2 girls, standing crying because they're hungry. And the lady's telling me that I can't use the kitchen because it's closed. So while she's talking, I'm opening the ravioli and I end up blacking out. And I was told that I threw a whole can of ravioli on her and I grabbed my kids and I left. But I was wondering how I ended up upstairs. I did out a lot within this time. I blacked out a lot. And it was just by the grace of the Almighty that I was able to, like, when I would come back, I would be somewhere safe. So I called my sister and I say, I need somewhere to stay. And she said, come. And I go with her. And at the time, she's getting ready for a wedding. And she comes to me and she tells me, Kiana, you and your kids got to go. So it's raining. And I go to the bus stop. And I put me and my kids on the bus. And I go to my mom's. And while I'm at my mom's, she's preparing to move to a bigger place. And she says to me, I can't go. And I'm outside and I'm with a girlfriend of mine, a very good friend of mine. Shout out to Damika. I love you to death. And I'm on Damika's porch and I'm crying, I'm sobbing. And I'm like, Damika, me and my kids don't have nowhere to go. I don't know where we're going to go. And I go back in my mom's house. And at the time, my mom is on the phone with my aunt. And I can hear my mom upstairs like, I don't care. She just can't go with me. So my mom put me on the phone with my aunt. And my aunt said, I got somewhere for you to go. Pack your kids up. You're going to go to East Hills. And then East Hills was another aunt of mine. My mom's sister's best friend. And I went with her for 3 weeks. Now, in the midst of me getting evicted from Whiteside and going to my mom's, we had a discussion and she was like, Kiana, go to the shelter. And I went to the shelter and she was right. I went and signed up for Homewood North on Brushton Avenue. And when I got there, I met some more awesome people. And in the midst of me going to the shelter and getting kicked out of the shelter and going to my sister's, and then leaving my sister's and going to my mom's, and then leaving my mom's and going to East Hills, I got a call while I was at East Hills, and I was in East Hills for 3 weeks from Homewood North. And they told me that my unit was ready. I was so happy, man. I was so happy. And I called my girlfriend, Tia, and I was like, Tia, I got a call. We were sad, man. We were sad. Me and my babies was out on the streets. It was so hard. Behind a mistake, you know? So Mr. Hawkins called me, and I'm pretty sure he's probably, I don't know if he's still alive or not. And he was like, Miss Lucky. And I was sitting in up East Hills, and the music was playing because my aunt's best friend always had the music playing. My kids was upstairs, they was asleep, and it was blowing. And I was like, yes, this is Miss Lucky. And he was like, you could come get your keys tomorrow morning. I called Tia, and I was like, Tia was like, I got you. She called somebody and got me a truck because I had all this furniture in storage. And in the midst of me getting everything out of storage, my friends had my kids up Everton, and they were cleaning and scrubbing. And a good friend of ours was cleaning and scrubbing because she's a clean freak, a freaking Aquarius. She loved to clean. So she's cleaning and she's scrubbing, and the kids is playing, and my little sister's up there, and me and Tia's moving back and forth. And I can't even remember whose truck she had, but I remember them saying,
I need my truck at a certain time or something like that. Or don't scratch my truck because it was nice as hell. The pickup truck. Yeah, it's like, don't scratch my truck. Man, they called us like 7 times, but all we had was 2 more loads. It was like, we just got to get 2 more loads there. We cracking up while we driving. And I'm in the back seat. We get all that stuff up to the crib. My kids and we up Everton. And we in our own dwellings again. And at the time when I got up Everton, it felt like I just didn't want to stop. So I went and signed up for school down at Duff's. And I remember that spirit telling me, if you take care of them, I'll take care of you. I was like, I can't stop. So I went ahead and I signed up for school. And I'm going to Duff's. I'm going to school. And I'm working. My kids were going to daycare. Mind you, Everton is a long swoop, man. That's like man, that's like, so I had to get a ride. But I remember us walking, man, we walked in the snow from Brushton to Everton. Yeah, me and them kids did that. And I had to get us a little car. So I got us a little car. I'm gonna stop right there, man, because my little emotions is all over the place. Merlin put a shout out to Merlin, I love you. Merlin put a quote on Facebook, and it was like, if you can, I think, talk through your pain without crying. But there was just a couple situations in my life that make me cry. So I don't want to feel like that for the rest of the night. So I'm gonna let this go. But I thought I'd give you, 3 and 4. I can't even put numbers on them. I just remember where I leave off and I go with the flow. But I'm gonna leave it right there. And I thank you for listening, and I thank you for being a part of my therapy, because believe it or not, this feels amazing. I definitely cry when I'm, you know what I mean, when I'm in therapy sessions or when I'm speaking to somebody else, or so this is definitely from me to you. You know what I mean? I just definitely sharing helps me. It helps me. Believe it. Believe it or not, it does. And I know, again, I know what it's doing for me. I can feel it. And it feels awesome. So I'm glad I get to share with you, and look forward to more. You'll definitely get more about it Thursday, I'm sure, because I need to get these rolling, because I have some way deeper work that I want to do. And yeah, so thanks again for listening and watching. And I will talk to you soon.